Well, welcome to another edition of On Point Live, right here from the Manhattan Beach studios. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Vince Ferragamo. I'm former Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl quarterback, and alongside me is 20-year NFL legend, Hall of Famer Jackie Slater. And Jackie, the NFL season is over, you know? And I'll tell you what, but I must admit there's other sports.
Yeah,
okay?
of course there.
Yeah, I was watching women's collegiate basketball, Jackie, and I saw the South Carolina girls basketball team beat Tennessee, and they're 31-0, Jackie, and it calls to mind, you know, when I watched my daughter play. She went to Vanderbilt. They beat Tennessee. Yeah, in the SEC championship, and I tell you, it just makes you appreciate the hard work and the style of football, style of play that they have, the quality of play, Jackie. And she played with a gal by the name of Chantel Anderson. Okay, Chantel was 6'5", Jackie, and she could look you right in the eye.
No. She would look right down in my eyes at that height, buddy.
I'm telling you, man. I'll tell you, it's a great sport.
Yeah,
great sport.
You know, I love watching Vanessa in high school and in college, and it is the thing that amazes me about the young ladies playing the game now is how skilled they are. I mean, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised about it because they've been doing it for a long time, but to see these girls dribbling that ball behind their back, taking jump shots, and maneuvering on the court and just having great basketball IQ is so much fun to watch, and I enjoy it. But Vince, I'm going to change the subject a little bit, and I'm going to go from the girls to a guy named Mac McClure.
Oh, man.
Mac McClure. Do you know who that guy is?
Vince,
I'm going to tell you.
I know who you're talking about.
He's 6'2".
Yeah.
He's a basketball player. He's only played pro basketball for 2 games with the Golden State Warriors. And he just single-handedly saved the NBA slam dunk contest. I could not. He stepped out there. I'm sitting there watching this. I'm thinking, well, what is this little guy going to do? You know, most of the guys that slam dunking and everything, it's not Spud Webb or anything.
Yeah.
Most of those guys 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". I'm thinking 6'2". Why is he in the contest? He's wasting my time. And, man, that dude started jumping.
Jackie, I saw him jump over. Somebody was standing right underneath the basket. And someone on his shoulder.
On his shoulders.
With the ball over his head. He flipped up.
Unbelievable.
Leaped over both guys and did a reverse dunk.
Vince, his performance was jaw-dropping. You know, Seth Curry was tweeting. Everybody was tweeting. Everybody was amazed. They couldn't believe their eyes. And, you know, it's a testament to an individual, regardless of who that individual is, and his efforts to be good in what he loves. And this kid is obviously, he replied to Seth by saying, you know, the journey is still on. I mean, if you only play 2 pro basketball games and you're still doing that, so you're obviously still trying to be a pro. So that journey is still on. And I hope his journey lands him somewhere in the NBA because he looks like he could be a lot of fun to watch.
I'll tell you, Jackie, you know, his final attempt was a 540-degree. That means he did 1 complete revolution and a half and did a reverse dunk again. I mean, he was flying through the air like he was suspended in midair for like 5 seconds.
I couldn't believe my eyes. I thought there was something wrong with my TV.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Wow. That's what in the world.
That's what in the world, no doubt about it.
Jackie, you know, this past Wednesday, the NFL Players Association came out with what they describe as the free agency report cards, and from all 32 teams. And of those 1,300 players that were surveyed, they came out with report cards. And you know who ranked at the top? No. Okay, was Minnesota, Miami, and the Raiders. Okay, those 3. But the 2 bottom teams were the Washington Commanders and the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
Jackie, that kind of goes to show you what kind of teams they were this year, right?
Right.
But you know what's surprisingly, though, Jackie, the Chargers were ranked 30th and the Rams 25th. So they didn't rank as high either. But since the survey came out, the Charger report card stated the problem with the training staff. And they went ahead and they released their head trainer.
You mean released as in fired?
Well, he's kind of, he's on the outside looking in now.
You mean released as in fired. And Vince, that is really unfortunate when you think about it, because that training department is responsible for the physical health and care of the players, and they have to be on point. If you look at the Rams now, the Rams finished, they didn't finish in the top. They finished like 25th or something like that.
Yeah.
But number 1, they were tied for first with their training staff. Reggie Scott, that guy has been there for about 13 years, and he is on top of it. He is making sure that those guys are rehabilitating their injuries. He's making sure that they're strengthening themselves within the confines of what the NFL says that you have to do now, the way that they limit you, the physicality. Doing a fantastic job over there. And players look at that. So my hat is off to the NFLPA and for taking care of its constituents. That's their job. Their job is to look for better opportunities for football players to express themselves on the field in a safe manner. So the things that all these family treatment of the family, nutrition, a weight room, strength staff, training room, locker room, and travel. These are priorities of football players. If I were a free agent, Vince, and I had 5 teams wanting me to come in for a visit, now that I have this information in my hand, I'm gonna know, first of all, which one of these teams allows me to be the best football player I can be. That's the number one priority. But then after that, I'm gonna see how they treat my family. I'm gonna see how they take care of me when I get hurt, how they get me back on the field, and the type of things that they do in those areas. That's very important, and I think we need to really give a huge round of applause to the Players Association for coming up with this, because it's just more information. You talk about, the life expectancy of an NFL player being 3 years, 3.2 years. The quality of that existence should be really good, and this lends itself to that.
Well, maybe what led to part of this low scores for the Rams and Chargers is they're in a temporary facility, Jackie. So they don't have a permanent facility. They have the brand new stadium.
Absolutely, Vince.
But these are their facilities that they train in each and every day. So we see that changing over time. But let's take a trip down memory lane, Jackie. Back to the day when we played. How would you rank the facilities that we had to work with back in those days?
Well, that's a good question, Vince, and I can honestly tell you, it was like a roller coaster, because when we came in, and I'm playing with the Rams out here in Long Beach, and we were at Blair Field, if you recall. We were at Blair Field, and Blair Field was a baseball stadium, basically.
That's right.
And at Blair Field, our locker room was underneath the grandstands at the baseball stadium. And I can remember me, Doug France, and another big offensive lineman, 300-pound guys with this much space to get in and out of our lockers. It was a miserable existence. And then the Rams left there, and then we came down to Anaheim. They went and renovated an elementary school, and then now the locker rooms got bigger, and we had 2 practice fields. So I thought that was pretty cool. We were playing at a renovated Anaheim Stadium, and then from there, Vince, we went to St. Louis. Now, the bad part about it, when we first got there, we had to practice at the Boys and Girls Club. So the locker rooms got small again. Yeah. But when they finished that stadium, the TWA done, man, I'm telling you, I felt like, okay, this is where I should have spent the last 20 years of my career, because this is beautiful. It was excellent. It was really special.
Well, I'll tell you, Jackie, I remember my days at Nebraska when we played, and we had a facility of 30,000 square feet, was the weight room only. And then we came to a weight room, maybe with the Rams, is like this big as this studio set, right? 1,200 square feet. But you know what? Those are the change of times that happen over time. But Jackie, it's just, looking back, though, I mean, what are some of the things you think that players need from the franchise? What would you think would be very important to you and what they can provide for you?
Yeah, on that list you're talking about, Vince? Well, first of all, when I get off that plane and I go in there to visit, I want to see how they treat my wife and my family, because the way they you hear players talk about it all the time. It's a family environment. We get along like family. Everyone's like family here. And that, for the smart franchises, they are cultivating that attitude. They want that. They want that to be who they are, a family-oriented company. So that's going to be the number one priority. The next thing, knowing me, the next thing I want to know is, who's the medical staff? What are their credentials? And then the training staff. Is there a Reggie Scott on your staff? Yeah. I want to know how good these people are, because their jobs, their number one responsibility is to help me deal with the hurts and the injuries as a player and get me back on the field, because my job is to play football, not to be sitting around in the locker room injured. I need somebody to support me in that area. And then the other things, Vince, like the meals, the planes, what the locker room looks like, that's all important, but it depends on the individual. For me, some of these core issues are very critical, and I probably would have made a decision based on how the quality of these areas were.
And what resonates with players, Jackie, is the fact that how they treat the families, you know, and we have to go back to our time with the Rams. You know, for a Christmas present one year, we got Cabbage Patch dolls for our wives.
I remember.
But you know what the 49ers got for their wives,
What
Jackie?
did they get?
Louis Vuitton purses.
Well, the wives came up a little short on that one.
I know.
But the thing that I remember about those Cabbage Patch dolls was that
they were popular.
They
at
were
the
very,
time.
very popular.
Yeah.
Nobody could get their hands on them.
Yeah.
And I thought at that particular time, Vince, that it made me feel a little bit special because Georgia Frontiere was the only female owner in the National Football League at that particular time.
Yeah,
and she looked at little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, she took care of the kids, and you know, it wasn't a big thing, but everybody wanted a Cabbage Patch doll at that time. I think I might have gone for the Louis though.
I think the wives might have enjoyed it a little bit more.
I think they would
But
have.
you know what? Let's get back to the current Rams staff, and you know we look at the offseason now and the players' transition. Who's going to remain on the team? And the big conversation today is cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Jackie, apparently he's on the trading block. Okay, Jalen has a pretty sizable contract, but I have to tell you that the Rams currently are $14 million over the salary cap. So what does that mean? Well, this is, you know, it's being treated. You gotta work this out because they can't conduct business being over the cap, and they owe Jalen Ramsey $17 million this year, Jack, and over the next 3 years, $47 million. So the Rams not only finished winning the Super Bowl, the next season they were 7th. Okay, they were 7 years that this is the worst team they've had since that Super Bowl game. So now, what do you do with a guy like Jalen Ramsey, Jackie? I mean, do you keep him on the staff, or is he going to be traded?
Well, the mere fact, Vince, that they're talking about moving Jalen Ramsey tells you that he's a piece that they are considering doing without. I mean, you know, Jalen Ramsey is a good player, but they gave up 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick to acquire him. And here they got a Super Bowl victory out of it. He's played well pretty much the entire time he's been here, except for the start of this past season. I think it was because he was injured. Jalen Ramsey is a top-notch guy. There's a lot of teams in the National Football League that might feel that Jalen Ramsey is that one piece, that one single piece that they need to get over the hump. And make no mistake about it, Jalen Ramsey is a special football player. So the mere fact that they're talking about trading him says to me that they're looking perhaps to reload with some draft picks so they can focus on the nucleus of this football team, bringing in young quality players that's going to help them not only this year, but over the next 2 or 3, 4 years perhaps as they finish out their rookie contracts.
Well, you know, the other team that's really interested in Jalen Ramsey apparently is the Detroit Lions. They would really need a standout cornerback because they have got Jared Goff there now. Campbell has really done a great job with that team. If they get a quality player like that, somebody like that could really help their defense and put them over the hump.
That's right.
They could really get to where they have to go.
And the interesting thing about that is the people who were in charge at the Rams, basically when they traded the quarterback there,
they're over there now, aren't they?
They are there now. They are there.
Yeah,
and
they know the players.
Yes, they are there as the general manager and assistant general manager that are running that club. They know the value of a guy like Jalen Ramsey, and they can probably if Dan Campbell feels like Jalen Campbell has that it factor, and they will have Jalen Ramsey there in a heartbeat, and he could supply the Rams. With some much-needed picks, additional picks.
You know, the Rams went all in, Jackie, to win the Super Bowl, obviously, and it worked, okay? But now you've got problems. And is this the proper way to conduct business? Do you just trade for players, give up all your draft picks? Is this something that you can do for longevity? Is it something that you would think would be, is it good for the Rams, or what's your impression of
Vince,
the way they're doing business?
You asked me that question knowing how I feel about it. I still recount 1975 when the Rams had 3 first-round picks. They drafted 3 big guys that came in there and played for a long time. They were the pillars of our football team for a number of years. Right. And so I've always valued, the draft. But how can you get mad and blame the administrative staff of the Rams when the outcome was exactly what you would have hoped. They wanted to win the Super Bowl for Stan Kroenke in his first, to reward him for this beautiful $5 billion stadium that he's built here in Los Angeles with a Super Bowl championship, the first ever Super Bowl played there, and that's exactly what happened. They went all in. They brought in Von Miller. They brought in everybody you could think about, and these guys performed. They won the Super Bowl, and now the repercussions are having to be dealt with. If it requires losing, they had the worst record of any Super Bowl team Super Bowl winning team after the game in history. So obviously they got some issues there, Vince. But I don't think you blame them for what they did, but I think you look for them to correct it by getting back to the basics. And the basics involve getting draft picks, maturing those draft picks with your coaching staff and your system that you have in place, and then getting back to normal.
I have to agree with you. I think I have to equate this, Jackie, to what I do, and I do real estate sales. And right now what I see is if you're looking to buy, say, a $10 million beautiful estate home, well, first of all, you have to be able to afford it and you have to maintain it. So you obviously are going to have to mortgage this home. But sometimes your maintenance and the longevity of keeping the property is going to exceed your debt mortgage payments. And so you really have to, you have to look towards the future and be able to do something that you can maintain. And I see that the same way as with the Rams. They're going all in. Okay, they've mortgaged their future, and now they're having a hard time to maintain.
Don't forget they mortgaged their future to win a Super Bowl, which they did.
Well, they did. But now looking forward, is that sustainable?
Well, I don't think so. And I've told you the reasons why. I don't think they believe that it's sustainable that way. I don't know if we'll see any more high-profile trades over the next year or two out of the Rams. It very easily could occur. Because that motto was blank those picks was pretty strong a couple of years ago. I don't think they'll maintain that because I think that the powers that be understands the fact that football is a young man's game. 3.2 years and you're done on an average. It's what the average career is. Yeah. And so you got to get quality young guys that can come in and deliver, top end performance. And I think that's the credo that they're going to have to go back to.
Talking about players that can deliver, Jackie, one guy that's available out there on the market right now is a guy by the name of Robert Woods. And
Bobby Trees.
I'm telling you what. And you know what? Him and Cooper Kupp were a great tandem when they were with the Rams. Do you think he may come back to the Rams?
Well, that would be a piece of work. I tell you what, Cooper Kupp has already lobbied to get him back here because he knew how much he learned from him and how well they worked together. And we call him Reliable Robert Woods because he did everything, Vince. He ran the fly sweep like Sean McVay likes. He ran all kinds of routes. He caught the ball when thrown to him. He was not an easy cover at all. I mean, and he was he seemed to have been
all-purpose.
Yeah, he was an all-purpose guy that seemed to have been thinking really a lot about what he was doing, thinking his way through the routes as he runs, kind of like Cooper Kupp.
Exactly, very cerebral.
Yes,
Jackie. They really understood what they had to do and what they had to do to accomplish their goals.
So I think that would be a welcome sight to see Bobby Trees back in-house.
Well, there's a lot more stuff to talk about, Jackie, these free agents. And, one of the big names is the guy with Baltimore.
Yeah, well, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, Vince, his situation is, to me, getting to be a little bit, I don't know how to describe it, but, for all he's done, for him to have to work the way he is having to work to get paid, it's a mystery to me. Now, I know that they got rid of Greg Roman, the old offensive coordinator. They brought in Todd Monken from Georgia, so that's going to be a new system, and maybe they want to gear themselves more towards a pocket passer. But Lamar wants a fully guaranteed deal like the one that Deshaun Watson got last year. But the Ravens are reluctant to offer that because they believe that Watson's deal is more the outlier than the precedent. So the NFL owners, they don't want to be guaranteeing those kind of contracts for anybody. Certainly a guy that was running around as much as Lamar Jackson has been running around. But nonetheless, he's still there. He's a good quarterback, productive guy in what they've asked him to do in the past. And I think he's going to have to be paid. What I want to know from you is how should the Ravens, handle Lamar Jackson at this point?
Well, it's a good question, Jackie. Everybody wants to figure this out. But I think it's business as usual. I think John Harbaugh, the head coach, has expressed his interest to keeping Lamar Jackson with the team. And I think if the team had to make one final decision, it would be we need to re-sign Lamar Jackson. However, you have to consider, the contract and how much we're going to offer, how long we're going to keep Lamar, how long can Lamar continue to produce at that level. He's a running quarterback. Those kind of things. The style of his game is such that, hey, they're under top scrutiny as a quarterback, but you also, the more you run the football, the more risk you have. So I think to offer him a guaranteed contract, my advice to Lamar would be try to work something out, because the grass is not always greener on the other side, okay? Try to work something out with your familiarity with the team that you've been with for so long, because they believe in you, they know what you can do, okay? Even despite having a new offensive coordinator. But I would say that he really has to, get in position. They've already named him a non-exclusive franchise tag, so that means he's protected, Jackie. So March 15th.
For 1 year.
For 1 year. But they really need to try to resolve this financial dispute and move on and get ready for this team.
This financial dispute basically lingers over the fact of the guaranteed money. Now,
my understanding is they've offered him $50 million, and 80% of that's guaranteed.
Yeah,
so that's not bad money.
Even if it was 100% guaranteed, that's not like a 5-year deal with 100% guarantee like Watson got.
But then you're running the risk of injury and what happens to him.
I understand. So it sounds like to me, Vince, that you think that there's a limited amount of guys who should be granted guaranteed contracts. So I want to know from you, what 5 guys do you think should have guaranteed contracts?
Well, obviously quarterbacks, right, Jackie?
Obviously you're going to say that.
Now, the quarterbacks are the leader of the team. You build everything around a quarterback. Your offensive system, your style of play. I mean, you put your offense linemen intact to protect the quarterback. So if I'm going to guarantee any contract, I think it would have to be for my leader of the team, the quarterback. And, number one comes to mind is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I have full faith and confidence and trust in this guy that he's going to produce and perform each and every week, Jackie. He's been a proven player. He's won Super Bowls. He'll play hurt. This guy will play. The other guy is Joey Burrow. I mean, Joey's sensational. He's a great guy to build your team around. He's a great quarterback. He's another guy that will go out and play hurt. He'll play what he has to do. The third guy would be probably Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, is another quarterback that has got to be an MVP type of player. He would deserve a contract. Vince. And probably Deshaun Watson.
You have made your point.
Because Deshaun Watson actually can play some football, and you'll see next year how well
You have made your point, my friend, and you made it loud and clear.
Okay.
Every one of the guys whose name you call was a quarterback. Every single one,
exactly.
Vince. Now, Vince, let me tell you. Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, was at the Combine this past week.
Okay.
He and his staff interviewed 40 players. He said of the 40 players that he interviewed, 3 or 4 had the it factor.
Well,
3 or 4 had the it factor.
That's not too many guys.
And he said, those are the guys that I want on my team, the guys with the it factor. Now, you just mentioned all of those quarterbacks getting guaranteed contract, and not one time did you even consider Aaron Donald. In my opinion, if anybody deserves getting a 100% guaranteed contract, it's Aaron Donald, the defensive tackle of the Los Angeles Rams. What happens with Aaron Donald every single week? He's getting more tackle for losses in the backfield on rundowns. He is getting more sacks than anybody, off the edge or in the middle than anybody. He is disrupting people's offenses more than anybody. And it is a reckless job that he has. So he's getting banged around a lot. If I'm a general manager, if I'm an owner, and I got Aaron Donald on my football team and I'm watching what he does in practice and what he does on Sundays, I'm going to say, I'm going to make this guy happy because this guy has the it factor. And I don't want him worried about I want him to be himself. I don't want him worried about being reckless and getting hurt. If he gets hurt, then I'm going to have to deal with it because I want what I see from Aaron Donald every single snap in practice and every single snap in the game. The most disruptive guy we've seen in the last decade in the National Football League. And why not guarantee his contract?
Yeah, and he plays every game. He doesn't miss games. He's never hurt. That's one of the primary reasons you'd want to give a guaranteed contract, Jackie. But they, like you said, they're not common throughout the NFL.
No, they're not.
They're more common than when we played. But right now, I mean, there are certain players that you can't offer that to.
Okay, moving along, back to another quarterback situation. We got Tua Tagovailoa down at the Miami Dolphins, who's in the final year of his contract. And the interesting thing is that the general manager, Chris Greer, has already said that they're in no rush to sign Tua to a long-term deal. Now, how do you think the Dolphins will handle Tua, and how would you handle him?
Well, Jackie, you know, my comment is this on Tua. I like Tua as a quarterback. I like him as a player because he's a team-oriented guy. But you know what? When you're susceptible to injury like he's been, and he's been under concussion protocol multiple times last year, and one time was very serious. It didn't look good.
Didn't look good at all.
And so if he gets thrown to the turf, it's a physical game, Jackie. You have to bounce right back up. And so I think you can't let your team down in the crucial times during a playoff run. So in that instance, I think they're going to have to look to another quarterback because they have assembled quite the team in Miami. They have a team that can go to a Super Bowl. They're just lacking the quarterback that'll take them there. And you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Will Aaron Rodgers go to the New York Jets? I don't think so. I don't think that's the place for him. Just because Brett Favre went to the Jets doesn't mean Aaron Rodgers should go to the Jets. He needs to go to a place like where he's got staffing, he's got players around him, he's got a coach that's innovative. I mean, that's one of the places to go right there. The Raiders may be another place. Jimmy G and both Aaron Rodgers, two kind of quarterbacks that can go and help that team out.
Vince, I got to say this before we go any further. I have never been around a guy who pays more attention to quarterbacks and their nuances and their personality
You got to do.
than you. It amazes me. It's kind of like me with an offensive lineman. You look at so many different things about these guys.
It's the psyche of the player, okay, Jackie? That's what you need to do. You need to interact with your teammates. You need to have, okay, look at Patrick Mahomes. Why do they go to a Super Bowl? They have the coach and the quarterback. I mean, this guy relates to his players. They love him. They'll play for him.
Absolutely.
Well, my talent wasn't great, Jackie. Guys like play for me, with me.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the reason why you're so successful.
Absolutely. I remember when you came in the lineup versus the other guy, and I won't call the other guy's name, but when the other guy was in the lineup, it didn't seem like guys were coming in out of their breaks. Didn't seem like the guys was trying to catch the ball. Right. It just seemed like the effort went up when you came in the ball game.
It's all about the effort.
Now, Vince, you know, we can talk about quarterbacks and offensive tackles all day long, but, you know, I fantasize sometimes about, you know, having played a different position. And I'm kind of curious, if you had the physical ability to play any position in the National Football League and you were in the pros with that ability, what position would that be?
I wouldn't play golf or anything like that. I love golf, but I'll
tell you. No, I'm talking about football.
Okay, I know football. Okay, I'm going to be a linebacker, Jackie. A linebacker because I'm going to get a chance to hit somebody else for a change.
You're going to be getting blown up in the middle when they come down in there.
No way, man. No way. I'm not going to get blown up. I'm going to deliver the blow. I'm going to get a chance to be the aggressor on the other side of the ball.
Well, Vince, you want to be a middle linebacker or outside linebacker?
Outside linebacker.
Okay, outside is better. Outside is better. You're on the edge. You're rushing the passer. You only have to deal with a tight end and a fullback.
Most of the time for a pick six, outside linebacker, or he can rush the quarterback, sack the quarterback. I mean, I'd be all over that.
Vince, are you going to ask me the same question?
Jackie, what position would you play? You're a big offensive lineman. Now you're going to change position?
Absolutely. I thought you never asked.
What in the world?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Vince.
All right,
all of my life, all of my professional career, the guys that I teased the most and asked the most questions and wanted to be around, you know what position they played?
What play?
DB. They were corners in particular.
Okay.
If I had to, you know, one of the things that I really resent is hearing people refer to little people, just because they're little and maybe have something to do with the ball, hearing people refer to little people as skilled players. Skill to me is something that is acquired. Most little guys are just out there on their athletic ability. Yeah, you got to learn how to catch. You got to learn how to do this. You got to learn some little things. But it's not a whole lot of skill, in my opinion, associated with a guy running as fast as he can and making a quick cut because he has that kind of athletic ability. Right. Skill, to me, is something that you have to acquire to be successful. So I would like to be a cornerback. Because I know if I had the ability, the quickness, the speed, the size, and all that, I would love learning to make sure that I planted out the right foot when I drove down inside to go and run support, making sure that I got in the hip of that wide receiver when he was running a go, and all of these different types of things. That's technical work, man. And the guys, just because you're little and you can run fast, don't mean that you can cover people. So,
are you sure you want to play that position, Jackie?
Absolutely, man. I would love to be on the island.
Okay, Jackie, that's the toughest position to play in the NFL.
I agree.
Defense, especially with today's rules. The offense gets all the breaks, okay, Jackie? The defensive corner has got the toughest job to do. Not only has to be physical, he has to be the most talented, the most athletic. He's got to be able to.
Got to have speed. Got to have speed.
He's got speed. He's got to be a. You know,
and you got to have mental toughness.
And you have to be sly back there,
yes,
Jackie.
Sir.
So
yes,
I mean, it takes the entire package to be a defensive, and you're going to play one of the toughest positions in football.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why there's such a big premium on guys like Jalen Ramsey.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, you got to cover guys like Cooper Kupp.
Difficult.
Cooper Kupp might be a mental genius when it comes to running routes. He knows how to set people up.
You can't be right as a defensive
You can't be right but I would figure it out.
Because that's your mindset.
I would figure it out.
I'd rather have a guy with the mindset than the actual ability to do it.
No doubt about it. Now, Vince, while we're here in a jovial mood, you called me this past week.
Yeah.
You called me this past week with something I thought to myself, now that's the biggest crock of nonsense I think I've heard. I think I've heard in a long time.
Okay.
You called me, Vince, this past week, and you said, Jackie, you said the stage is set.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is not done. Tom Brady is going to go here. You cited 2 or 3 different scenarios of Tom Brady coming out of retirement for the second time.
I did.
Come on, Vince.
I did.
Do you actually believe Tom Brady is not done playing football? And if you do believe that, you believe it enough that you would bet a game check? Would you bet a game check that Tom Brady's coming out?
Yeah, okay, I'm going to say it first time right here. You can hear it first time you heard it on this On Point show.
Come on, Vince.
That Tom Brady is going to come back this year because he's not given a definite response or a definite answer to what he's going to do this year. He's not going to do broadcasting, but what do you think he's going to do? He's going to go to a team like the 49ers, who all they need is the quarterback. I mean, they only need him. They're all going to be all in one. They're going to go this year. He's got the staff around him. Kyle Shanahan would love to have him. I mean, that team is set. They have that experience factor that he's got, Jackie. They will blow teams up with the team that they have with a quarterback like that. Let me just tell you, I saw him in his last game. I did not see him leaving the game, the NFL game, after that last game the way he exited that field. He had something in mind. He's not letting anybody know. And I think it won't be a surprise to me if he ends up with the 49ers this year.
Well, only thing I can say, my only reply to what you just said, Vince, is that
he's still able to do it, Jackie.
No, the only thing that I would say is that it pains me the thought that I let Mark Gastineau get in and hit you that time, because the blow that you took to the head was obviously something that we should not have allowed to happen. I can blame I can blame the coach for not having him back there to help out. But it pains me to know that you Vince, I disagree with that 100%. I happen to think Tom Brady is on his way to bigger and better things. Okay, so the combine was a star-studded affair when it came to your favorite position, quarterbacks.
Oh yes.
I mean, there were some dudes down there, man. There were some dudes. Who of those quarterbacks, who were your top 4? Who did you like?
Okay, the top 4 guys, Jackie, are Bryce Young, out of Alabama, C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State, Will Levis from Kentucky, and then you have Anthony Richardson from Florida. Okay, those are the 4 top quarterback prospects this year. Of my choices of those 4 guys would have to be C.J. Stroud. And the reason why I'm telling you this, Ohio State, not only does this kid have the it factor, as you mentioned earlier, Jackie, I've listened to him address why it's important for him to play football. He's well-rounded. He's respectful. He will bring trust and unity to any team he goes to, Jackie, and you can believe in this guy when he plays. He's got an accurate throw. He throws the ball. His fundamentals are sound, okay? The other quarterbacks are all good, Jackie. Don't get me wrong. All these guys are good. Bryce Young, great since he was a young kid growing up, but I'm not in love with his size.
He's under 200 pounds.
The best athletic guy is Richardson. okay? He can outrun everybody. He's strong.
He can out-jump everybody.
But being a quarterback, you have to have the total package. Now, there's not a high premium on being able to run the ball 100 yards. I mean, the premium is you got to get out of bounds or you got to get down slide. You got to pick up the first down. Be smart in what you do. I'm not saying he's not, but I just think of those 4 quarterbacks, Levis is a guy that really needs to develop. He needs more time. But the other quarterbacks, I mean, C.J. Stroud, to me, would be my number 1 pick.
Wow. I think a lot of people feel that way, man. How many touchdowns did he have, like 80?
81 touchdowns, Jackie, and only 12 interceptions in 2 years.
Wow, that's a lot of scores, Vince.
And, he comes from a university, Jackie, that puts a high premium on being at your best and being excellent because, the Buckeyes, you got to – you see all those Buckeyes he had on his helmet?
Yes, he was loaded with Buckeyes.
Man, I'm telling you.
But Vince, regardless of how good they are at that position or any other position in the National Football League, they're going to come and they're going to be dealing with some guys that are pros. They're going to be dealing with some guys that know how to survive in this game, and so they're going to have some rookie moments. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what your rookie moment was like when you first realized that I'm in the NFL now?
Well, I didn't even know I was going to make the team, Jackie, when I first joined the team because, it's so competitive and, the high premium they have to play at your best. But coming out of Nebraska, I think I was pretty well prepared to play. But I got my first start the last game of the year, my rookie year. We played the Washington Redskins. We played George Allen's team. We had already clinched our division, in the West. But we were playing the NFC East team that needed to beat us to go on into the playoffs that year, Jackie. And they were beating us 17-0. They put me in the 4th quarter. We went down the field right away, scored a touchdown.
George Allen was the coach.
George Allen was the coach. The second drive we get, Jackie, we go down, score another touchdown. Jackie, we get the third time back. We're driving down the field, getting ready to kick a field goal to tie it to go overtime. And George Allen is sweating like crazy on the sideline thinking, they can't do this to us. They can't do this. And, it was kind of like, it was kind of really enthusiastic for me. It was a great time for me just to experience that, and that was my big moment as a rookie.
Yeah, and that happened in a pro game at your team at the Rams. My awakening moment came in an All-Star game that I played coming out of college. Okay. They used to have an All-Star game called the All-Star College All-Star game, where they pitted the defending Super Bowl champion against a recently drafted group of guys. And I remember going there. It was in Skokie, Illinois for the Chicago Tribune. And I remember going there and earning my way into the starting right guard spot. And it was so exciting to be competing with guys from all over the country, all the big schools. And here I was coming from a small school, Jackson State. And I remember in that game, Vince, I had to play against Mean Joe Green.
Ooh. That's a little unfair contest right now.
I'm quite tactful. I like to approach, I like to carve my opponent up. Work the kidneys a little bit, get in the liver, down in there in the shins. I like to do all of that stuff, right?
Beat him up.
Yeah, beat him up. Yeah. So here I'm working Joe Green, and he said, "Hey man, get off my knees, man." And I'm thinking to myself, he's talking to me. Oh, yeah. A little bit later, I did it again.
You got his attention.
And a little bit later, I did it again. He said, "Hey, man, I told you to stay off my knees." And I'm thinking, I got it now. I got it. So I did it one more time.
Oh, God.
And then I felt a tug on my shoulder pads, and I'm thinking, okay, I got it now. He's helping me up. Yeah. He got me to my knees, Vince, and he kicked me with his knee, boom, boom, about 3 or 4 times before they pulled him off. He could have broke my neck. Yeah. The man could have broke my neck. Yeah. I remember thinking to myself, well, the game got rained out. Like the next series, they stopped the game.
Good thing.
I remember thinking to myself, this man tried to kill me. This is the National Football League.
That's it. That's what it's about, right?
It was a heck of a
good learning experience.
A heck of an eye-opening experience. And, the other thing too about these rookies, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember a rookie that impressed you from day one when he came to training camp?
Certainly, Jackie. One that really sticks out in my mind. Okay, there's before I tell you him, I have to tell you in our draft class. Back in 1977, when we were drafting the Rams, we had first-round draft pick with Bob Brzezinski. Bob Brzezinski from Ohio State started outside linebacker.
I remember him.
Yeah, he was tremendous. The other player that probably did so much for the organization was Billy Waddy, a receiver out of Colorado. I played against him in college, and he came to the Rams. He's the one single-handedly, Jackie, across the middle against Dallas Cowboys, put us in the Super Bowl.
Put us in the Super Bowl. I remember that.
Great catch. He was a gamer. He started for the team. Those guys really, and we had Wendell Tyler was on that team. We had a great draft class. But the guy that sticks out more than anybody is Eric Dickerson.
I agree.
Eric Dickerson came from SMU, and the minute he stepped on the field, you knew he was great. I mean, there was no question this guy could do it all, and it was pretty awesome.
You know, it's funny you would say Eric Dickerson because he is the top on my list too. But you got to remember, Vince, I played with a dynamo, Walter Payton, in college at Jackson State, and what a dynamic athlete he was. I mean, the guy could stand up on his hands and walk for 50 yards. He was just so explosive. Everything about him, you saw.
I love that guy.
Power. And then Eric walks in here, and he's long and he's lanky and he's about as tall as me. And I'm thinking, well, are they going to move this guy to tight end? Are they going to fatten him up for that? Are they going to move him to H-back? Yeah. Maybe an outside receiver? I know this running back looking like this is not going to play for us. And then when they started giving him the ball in games, Vince, I thought to myself, I've never seen anybody like this before. Never seen a man this big and rangy that could be that explosive. So Eric Dickerson was a phenom for me to get to play with. And then the next guy was Jerome the Bus Bettis.
Oh, yeah, the Bus.
Now, the thing about Jerome the Bus Bettis was that he had the mentality that he was going to yield to no one. And I mean, he was like a linebacker.
Run over somebody.
He was like a linebacker playing the position, and he would if he didn't see an opportunity to get past you with a nifty little move, he had some niftiness to him, he would run right over you. And then get up and look at you with his mouth wide open and laugh at you.
Did he remind you of Earl Campbell a little bit, Jackie?
Well, not so much of Earl because Earl didn't say much. Earl just kept his mouth shut. Physical type of guy, but Earl just got up and went back. Jerome was going to get up and look at you and say, I'm coming back.
I saw
ready.
him run over Isaiah Robertson once.
Oh, you're talking about Earl.
Earl Campbell.
Oh, yeah, I was sitting on the bench. I was looking right at that angle right there.
We started clapping on the sideline. Remember, that was so cool.
We got to keep the ball. We don't want them to have the ball.
Get up, hurry up.
We don't want them to have the ball. But, you know, those are two guys that I personally played with. And both of them were outstanding, and they're both Hall of Famers and everything. But if I think about the one guy that I saw in the last 40 years that came to the Ram organization, that I saw from day one that he got there to day one that he left, and he was special from the moment he got there till he left until he stopped playing, it was offensive tackle Orlando Pace, the first overall pick by the Rams. This guy was unbelievable, Vince. I have never seen a man that big, that graceful, that could move the way he could and just dominate people. I mean, it wasn't, and he was still, you know, he had a couple of good coaches there. We had John Masco, who's the offensive line coach with the Commanders now. He was there, and Jim Hannafin, the great Jim Hannafin, was the head offensive line coach. And these guys were doing a fantastic job with him, but it was like they could just say, hey, leave the man alone.
Yeah.
This guy is the most dominant football player that I've seen from a young age all the way through the middle parts of his career. He was unique, Vince, and just to sit there and watch him, to have the opportunity to watch Orlando Pace go through his growth and everything was just, it was an unbelievable treat for me.
Well, I have to agree with you, Jackie, because the most impressive feat, I think, of all the players is an offensive lineman as a rookie to jump in the NFL from day one. And not only was he offensive lineman, he was the weak side. He was the blind side tackle,
protector,
the left tackle. And you know yourself, it takes time to develop, even as an offensive lineman in the league. You were, 3 years, and you played
absolutely
Hall of Fame status for 20 years. So it does take some time, but it was impressive to watch him play.
It was.
Along with Anthony Munoz, was probably another one of those type of players that could start immediately. And okay. But, you know, Jackie, as we move on, we need to really talk a little bit about all the collectors that are out there that love memorabilia, that collect, you know, baseball cards, they collect football cards, they, you know, have jerseys. Do you know what? One of the remarkable things that had just sold was the Joe Montana two-time, Super Bowl champion jersey that he wore in both Super Bowls, Jackie, just went sale, obliterated the Tom Brady jersey for $480,000. It sold, the Joe Montana jersey sold for $1.2 million.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow,
what piece of memorabilia that you own would be the most valuable, you think, for a collector out there? Jackie, you got some collective items. Come on, man.
Vince, I was an offensive tackle, man.
Hey, you
wasn't
know.
like I was running. You know,
No, you're not just an offensive
They gave me
tackle.
a game ball. They gave me a game ball that I liked. You know, when I broke the record for most games played by an offensive lineman.
Oh yeah, like that one over there.
Yeah,
there's a game ball over there.
A game ball like that. So that's nice, and I appreciate that. And then I have the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
But I think my most prized possession would be my Hall of Fame ring, Vince. And I say that because, you know, I came from a very small school, you know, unheralded, and I had to earn everything that I got. And I had some great support along the way, both my family and the coaches that you know, the Hudson Houck, I think of, Dan Radakovich. These were men, John Robinson. These were men that poured into me and gave me an opportunity to be successful, and I'm so thankful for that. So in addition to that, Vince, I think the thing that I take a lot of pride in was having had the opportunity to coach at Azusa Pacific University, and at Azusa Pacific University we won 4 GNAC championships.
Wow.
4 GNAC championships, and one of those years we boasted the top rusher in the National Football League, National Football League, in college football. And so that was really a lot of fun for me. And so for me, those are some pieces that I really cherish.
You got a memorabilia with your.
Yeah, in fact, this is one of the rings. I have 4 of these rings.
Wow.
GNAC championships.
That's bigger than the Super Bowl ring, Jackie.
It really is. It's not made out of the same thing. But it's
got no diamonds in that.
It's a nice. Diamonds. It's shining like diamonds.
Oh, okay.
It's a nice memorable. It's a nice piece. And when I think back to this year, you know, there were off of this Division II team, there were 3 guys, and 2 of them were offensive linemen that had opportunity to play in bowl games and to play on NFL rosters. And I was really proud and happy to be able to help develop those guys. Had a lot of support from the organization and the coaching staff there. It was just a fun experience for me, and that's it for my memorabilia.
If you had the money, what memorabilia would you invest in, or what would you buy if you could afford it?
That's a good question. I think the thing that comes to mind more than anything else would be the bat that Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record with. That bat, I'd like to have that bat.
What year was that? That was in 1974, I think.
74 was
April 1974.
April 1974. Yeah. That would be, to me, that would be something pretty special, because the Bandino, I mean, that's all I ever heard when I was a kid was Babe Ruth. And then to see, you know, him come along and, you know, break that record was pretty cool. I think that would be something I would invest in. What about you?
If I had the money, I'd probably buy that, you know, I'm going to go Honus Wagner baseball card, rookie card, $7.25 million. I mean, if I buy that, or, you know, I was a big fan of when I was a kid growing up, Jackie, was Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. Both those guys for the Yankees. If I had like maybe a jersey or a bat, I think that would be really cool to have something like that. You know, of all the players, let's talk one more thing, Jackie, about the NFL. And if you had to select one player in the NFL that could go to another team and make the difference and bring a championship or a Super Bowl victory, who would that player be? To what team would he go to?
That's a good question, Vince.
Yeah. One
that's a
guy.
Really good question.
Because sometimes, you know, some teams are only one player away from making a difference, Jack.
And this is my answer.
Okay.
I didn't have to think too long about that question. This is my answer. If I had one player that I could choose to send to another team with the anticipation they were going directly to the Super Bowl, I would send Aaron Donald to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, defensive lineman.
I'm just telling you.
He might join the forces of that defense with Chris Jones.
Can you imagine the two of them? First, Aaron Donald is unblockable.
Yeah.
Chris Jones is doggone
unblockable too.
Can you imagine those two guys operating inside the heart of your offensive line?
Not only we have one side of the line, the other side you couldn't protect it.
You can't block it.
You can't block two guys.
You can't block it. And you know the thing that makes me think this came, Vince. It's funny you asked me that, because I thought, you know, remember, I think our last show we mentioned that the Kansas City Chiefs had 11 draft picks.
They do.
And who needs draft picks more than anybody else?
The Rams.
So if you want to maximize your rebuild and supercharge it, you go to Kansas City and say, hey, listen, I'll let you have Aaron Donald. First of all, they'd be fools if they did it.
I know.
Because I won't ride Aaron Donald until he can't go no more.
No kidding.
But if they said to themselves, we want all 11 of those picks, and we're going to trade Aaron Donald to you, I think Kansas City, Andy Reid would jump on it. They would jump all over that, Vince. Like you know.
Well, that's you know, you talk about the Tom Brady thing. I mean, that's as crazy as it gets. But I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine the powers that be with the Rams parting with Aaron Donald. But if that possibility came up, take those 11 picks, let Aaron Donald go and win him 2 Super Bowls.
You think Aaron Donald would go?
If he went, he'd have to go. He doesn't have a choice unless he have a no-trade clause in his contract.
Okay.
If he has a no-trade clause in his contract, I can still see him saying, okay,
yeah, because I'm going to go win a Super Bowl.
I'm going to go win 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that if Aaron Donald went to Kansas City, that's like guaranteeing him 2 more Super Bowl wins, in my opinion.
No team in the NFL has ever won 3 Super Bowls consecutively.
And
no team. They won 2.
That would entice.
There would be a chance.
That would entice Aaron Donald.
Right.
That would be enticing to him.
Can you imagine?
And he would be a part of something special that's never been done before. Because it's
not impossible.
Because you'd arguably have the best defender in the National Football League playing with the best offensive guy in the National Football League.
Yep.
And both of them have great compliments beside them. It's just a win-win situation.
Well, if I were to pick a player, though, you know who I'd pick?
Who?
Are you going with the defensive? I'm going to go with who? Quarterback.
Oh, what? Who else?
I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Who else?
Okay, Aaron Rodgers goes to Miami, or he goes to the Raiders. All of a sudden, they become playoff contenders. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't want to. I want to hear you say Aaron Rodgers is going to bring a Super Bowl. I don't want to hear everybody can get in the playoffs.
Well, not everybody.
We found that out last year.
You know, but hey, once they get there, they're on a roll.
Yeah, we got
They'll go all the way.
We got extra
I'm not going to stop.
teams.
He's the MVP of the league multiple times.
We got extra teams and everything else going to the playoffs.
Look at what they have around them. Look what the receivers. They got Tyreek Hill. They got a whole staff. They got an offensive line. A running game. That could be tough. I mean,
that would be interesting. Well, Vince, we've just about run out of time.
Yeah.
And once again, I enjoy visiting with you, my friend, and doing this show. We have a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys are enjoying our enthusiasm for this great sport. Number 1 sport in our country, no doubt about it, and I think everybody appreciates it. But I have to say, Vince, I would be remiss, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention this fact. The Rams COO, Kevin Demoff, just received the highest award that the Fritz Pollard Alliance gives out. Then that award is called the Daniel M. Rooney Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, the reason why he got this award is because he has done much to improve diversity with the Rams at various levels and with the team's community efforts, which focuses on providing access and opportunity for young people of Black and brown communities in Los Angeles. So I want to congratulate you, Kevin Demoff, for the work that you are doing, and it is not going unnoticed.
Congratulations to Kevin Demoff and the Rams, and good work, good job. Great honor to achieve. So, Jackie, we have to say goodbye to our fans out there. So until next time, from all of us here at the Manhattan Beach Studios, we want to thank you for listening and watching. And until next time,
stay on point.